Let's get a shunting, crybaby bunting.
For the last time, it's Oliver!
Hey everyone, and welcome to Rock Paper Shotgun. I'm Alice, and I'm here with Katharine, who you may remember from our Octopath Traveler video a few months ago, and she is our resident JRPG person.
Hello!
Today we're talking about Ni No Kuni Wrath of the White Witch Remaster on PC.
Yes.
Oh my god.
It's a bit of a mouthful, that title.
It is. It's a really big mouthful. First up, we're going to talk about the actual remaster, and then we'll get into the more specifics of the game further down the video.
Yep.
So Katharine, tell us all about the remaster.
So, Ni No Kuni Wrath of the White Witch originally came out on the PlayStation 3 in 2011, so there will probably be quite a number of people who have already played this game. So this is the first time it's come out on PC, so it's got lots of lovely PC enhancements like 4K resolutions, uncapped frame rate, so you can either play it at 60 FPS, which also, looks lovely anyway, but if you've got a high refresh rate monitor, then you can take full advantage of that, and it looks really lovely and smooth, and it runs beautifully as well. I had no problem running it on my PC, and yeah, it's just kind of a really very polished, very good-looking game. I mean, it helps obviously that it's partly made by Studio Ghibli, who people may know from lovely Japanese animated films such as like My Neighbor Totoro and Spirited Away. They had a big part in the creation of this game and how it all, that there are specific kind of Ghibli cutscenes in it, that look like they could be from a Ghibli film. So yeah, it's a really lovely looking game. And yeah, it looks brilliant on PC in 2019.
Yeah, it is a really beautiful looking game. So what are the kind of differences between this and Ni No Kuni 2?
Yeah, so it's in quite an odd position in that it's the first game, but it's come out after the second game on PC. I've only ever played the Ni No Kuni 2, Revenant Kingdom, which came out early last year. And it's quite a different game to that. It's a much more traditional game, a much more straightforward JRPG than 2 was. Ni No Kuni 2 had extra bits, like there were real-time strategy battles in there, and it had a big kind of town management sim element to it.
Okay.
All that's gone. So what you're left with is a much more traditional JRPG here.
So it must be quite weird coming back.
Yeah, it is. But I mean, there are some things in Ni No Kuni Wrath of the White Witch Remastered that...
You're so good at saying that.
It takes a lot of practice. There are some things that it does, that are unique to this game, in that like it has quite an unusual battle system.
Okay.
Which obviously is like a big part of any JRPG.
Yeah.
People who have played Ni No Kuni 2 will recognise elements of it, in that it has these battle arenas that you can run around in real time. Each of your 3 characters has their own sort of party of 3 monsters attached to them as well. They're called familiars in the game. But yeah, it is very Pokemon-like in that you send them out to battle, and they all, they each have their own attacks and strengths and weaknesses. But they've only got very limited stamina bars, so you kind of got to... So you've got to keep changing them backwards and forwards while they have a little rest. But your monsters all share your own health and magic meters as well. So there is a balancing element to be struck there, in that you can't just use loads of attacks from your monsters, because then you won't have any magic to do any spells or healing and things like that.
Magic is a huge part of the game. You have this massive spell book, and obviously Oliver is a wizard. So how does magic play in the overall game?
In the remaster, it kind of feels like a weird PDF viewer, in that you're just kind of, zooming in and out of these pages. But it's actually a kind of hangover from the original DS version of Ni No Kuni, which it only ever came out in Japan, but it came with a physical spellbook. And you drew the runes onto the DS. So the PlayStation 3 version was almost like a remake of that DS version. It's the same game, the same characters, just without the drawing the runes in the spellbook. So in the remaster, there's no drawing. It's not like a Kami where you're drawing the symbols on the screen with your mouse or anything, which I think is kind of a shame, especially when you have a mouse at your disposal. But you could quite easily draw all of these shapes. Yeah. So Oliver, the main character, he's a kind of wizard in training almost, and that the story follows him kind of going around this magical world, finding great sages so that they can teach him more powerful spells to take down the evil Shadar, who is going around breaking people's hearts. It might sound a little kind of like, he's making everyone sad, but it's in Ni No Kuni, kind of to be broken-hearted means to kind of have your entire life force kind of drained away. You're just kind of like a zombie. you know, kind of left in the real world, kind of in this kind of limbo state between life and death. So a large part of what you're going to be doing in the game is using your magic to mend these people's hearts and, you know, make everything nice and happy. And this sort of forms the backbone of both the main story quests that you'll be doing and a lot of the side quests. The main way of fixing these broken hearts is to find someone who has, like, you know, an overabundance of the emotion that this person is lacking. So it's kind of a kind of matching up of, like, people who are really energetic to kind of, like, just kind of take a little bit of that energy and then kind of give it to the person who is, you know, give it to the broken-hearted person. This sounds naff, doesn't it?
It does sound naff, but that is what you do.
It is what you do, yeah.
It's very, like, when I was playing it, I was like, oh, this is very, like, cutesy and, like, twee. And it's very, it seems like it's very much made for children, but then the difficulty spike is just, like...
Yeah, it does. I think it does have a slight presentation problem in that it positions itself, or I found that it positions itself as a kind of really friendly, accessible JRPG that, you know, it sort of, during the opening tutorial sections, it was, you know, don't worry about all this information that we're chucking at you, you know, you'll get the hang of it, and it's all like, you know, yeah, go, you know, you can do it. And yet also, you know, it has a really bad habit, particularly in the middle section of the game, where it's constantly throwing boss battles at you, you know, but it doesn't give you any save points beforehand, and also, you know, if you fail a battle, then early on in the game it takes all of your money, and later on it just it takes 10% of your money. To me, it just feels a little bit mean-spirited, that there is no real reason to kind of, you know, completely kind of drain your coffers like that. And I also had problems with the actual companion AI as well, in that whether it's an issue specific to the PC version or the remaster in general, I found them to be quite stupid in that they weren't able to take care of themselves in battle very well. They were constantly dying, and I never had any magic I never had enough magic to revive them or heal them, because I had to use my own magic to fight the monsters. And a lot of the items are also really quite expensive. You know, items to restore magic are kind of ludicrously pricier than health items, and it doesn't... And I never really felt that I had enough money to keep everyone stocked up and equipped to make them effective in battle. Because also, once you start getting more familiars in your party, and each character has 3 of them, that's 12 characters to, you know, have an attack weapon and a defensive item and an accessory. And that all starts getting quite expensive. Yes. And as I say, I never really felt like there was enough money coming in to really make the most of that, which I think adds to the difficulty, because some of your familiars, even if they're, you know, a really high level, if they don't have an attack item, then they're just basically doing single damage points the entire time, which is kind of useless. And so you don't then use them. The same goes for your other characters. In fact, a lot of them, they only ever used one of them. They didn't even seem to recognise that there were other familiars there for them to use, and so when that one got tired, it was just them that ploughed into battle with their 1 hit point damage. And it's like, no, don't do that! That's not what you're meant to do. Which, for me, that put a real downer on the game, because, I mean, battling is something that you spend a lot of the game doing, and if it's not fun, and if it's annoying and frustrating, then you just, it dampens your overall enjoyment of the game. And short of, like, you know, a kind of game-wide patch to fix this issue, and for me that's quite a big hurdle to overcome.
So with this being a remaster and it coming out 8 or so years, it is 8 years.
Yeah.
8 years after the original one came out, does it still hold up?
I mean, graphically, absolutely. I wouldn't be able to tell that this is an 8-year-old game. It looks stunning and it plays really well. As I say, I personally have some issues with the battle system, so, like, if I was going to recommend any Ni No Kuni game, it would probably be the second one, because it's a standalone adventure. You don't need to have played the first one.
Yeah.
But, you know, if you do like really traditional JRPGs, and, you know, you're a big fan of Studio Ghibli, then there are still things to like here. The battle system is quite unusual, and maybe you won't have, as many issues as I did with the battle system. Like, it's probably the closest thing that PC has to a proper Pokemon game, and I'd even argue that it has better puns.
Better puns?
Better puns than a Pokemon game.
Wow. What a way to end this video. Thank you so much for chatting to me about
It's alright.
Ni No Kuni, Wrath of the White Witch Remaster on PC, Catherine. It's been a pleasure to have you.
Thank you for having me.
And thank you everyone for listening. And if you are still here, which I hope you are, do check out our Octopath Traveler video, which we did a few months ago, if you're into JRPGs and the like. And remember to like this video if you enjoyed it, and subscribe to Rock Paper Shotgun for more stuff like this. Bye for now.
Bye.
Tidy!